Hello dear friends, esteemed colleagues, family. Several people ask me if omega-3 oils are necessary to be used because we are oversaturated with omega-6 oils. Some people say, well, omega-6 oils are very healthy and we need omega oils. So first, what is omega oil? What is this omega-3, omega-6, omega-9? Those are non-saturated fatty acids. So what is happening is that, what is fat? Fat is a chain of carbon. And now, if the chain of carbon has all the available connections filled with hydrogen, then we call this saturated fat. If some carbons are missing one hydrogen connection, then we are calling this non-saturated. And now, saturated fats, well, that's one class. All carbons are filled with hydrogen, that's it. Well, non-saturated, then we have a scale. We have what we call mono-non-saturated, which means one carbon is missing hydrogen in the whole molecule. And one example of this mono-non-saturated oil or fat is olive oil. Now, then we have oils which are poly-non-saturated, multiple non-saturated. And those we call the omega oils. If every third carbon is missing hydrogen, then we call them omega-3 oils. If every sixth carbon is missing hydrogen, we call this omega-6 oils. If every ninth carbon is missing hydrogen, we call it omega-9 oils. Now, every time the carbon is missing hydrogen, it becomes unstable because it is prompt to adhere something there. And mostly what happened is that the hydrogen will be then replaced by oxygen. Of course, oxygen needs two connections, so it will bond to two carbons. Or it will just change the valency of a carbon. But no matter what it happens, once when oxygen gets involved, we call such oil, fat, rancid. Which means that if you have a fully saturated fat, then there is no way where oxygen can adhere. And such a molecule is stable. Even when you heat it up, it simply does not oxidize. It does not get rancid. This is why in the past, before refrigeration time, and so I was still a kid when in Zagreb, which is, pretty big city, in suburbs, people still did not have refrigerators. So how do they preserve meat? Well, this is why pork was very popular, because they would kill the pig, and then before killing it, they make sure that it's really fat, and then they would melt the fat, and they would put it in barrels, and they would put fat, then they would put meat, fat, and that's how, with the fat poured over the meat, once it cools off, it becomes solid. Now, what is the difference between solid fat like butter or lard and oil? Well, oil is omega acid, is non-saturated. Every time where the hydrogen is missing, you will have a double connection made between carbons which are going to bend the molecule. So, mono non-saturated oils like olive oil, what happens? If you put it in refrigerator, a lower temperature, it solidifies. And your vegetable oil, which is basically omega-6, will not solidify because there are more bends. And more bends you get in the molecule, it cannot be compacted. It leaves holes. So this is why it remains liquid. You cannot really preserve things in oil that well because oil can get rancid. Saturated fat, like butter, like lard, they don't. We say, oh, we have to refrigerate butter. This is not true. You don't have to refrigerate, same like pork fat. It is saturated fat, it is not going to get rancid. It will get rancid if you touch it, if you spoil it, if you put bacteria on. But if you keep it pristine, it's not going to get spoiled. Of course, milk does not have only saturated fats. It has also monounsaturated, because monounsaturated fats are predominant fats in our body. But the triglyceride, it's saturated fat. It's lard. Talking about the health benefits, body is warm. So when you put non-saturated oils in the body, raising a heat, it makes the compound more reactive. So if it is missing hydrogen and you raise the heat and there is oxygen available, which is available in our body, bingo, you get oxygenation of the oil, you are making it rancid. Rancid oils are toxic to us. So no omega oil is really healthy. Now we are being told all kinds of stories, and eat krill, yes, well, you have to understand that fish is a cold body enemy. And if it would have saturated fats, well, it would kind of solidify. So it is having mono and polyunsaturated, mostly omega-3 fats, to remain liquid in a cold temperatures. Our body also needs those oils, but it makes them by its own. You don't have to bring them from the outside. And if you are bringing them from the outside, during the process of absorption, there's plenty time for them to become rancid, to oxygenate, oxidized, and become toxic. So now we have been told, well, don't eat saturated fats, they are bad for you, but eat oils, vegetables are good to you, are good for you. Yeah, well, they are good fats for vegans because they need fat. So they munch on seeds. Seeds have a lot of oil, but those are omega oils. They're not really good for us, but between nothing and something, well, something will do. People say, well, Bible says that seeds were given to us to eat. Don't forget who put the Bible together. Okay? And again, it's not God. People put the Bible together. Those what we call Semites. And there are many good things about, many truths in the Bible, but then they are wrapped into this veil of misleading. And basically what we are told is lie. And a lot of truths that come from Bible are lies, especially when it comes to food. Anyway, we can discuss this in different ways and different time, but when we talk about fat, scuff, my cat is damaging my cover over there. It's a crazy guy, I love him. This is Scuff. Hey, Fetzo. Oh. This is torture. And he's so gentle. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So when we are talking about fats, I recommend keep away from omega fats. And vegans, vegetarians use omega fats from animal products, from fish. Well, again, vegan, you cannot do it. So you are basically screwed. Vegetarians, I'm a little bit more flexible, so use krill oil, fish oil. But try to keep away from vegetable oils. Nothing good comes from vegetables, except the toxicity that we can use for healing purposes, medicinal purposes, okay? But otherwise, keep away from processed product. It is very easy to get fat from animal. You don't have to do nothing. You just open the animal and there is a fat. To extract fat from seeds, well, it's not so easy. Again, plenty of seeds and you have to compress them, press them hard to get the oil out of them. And oil from corn or vegetables, I mean, where do you find all there? So, it's highly processed stuff. More processed, the worse it is for our health. Keep away. Do we have to zero and counter? They say, well, people, because of cooking oil is basically omega-6, mostly. So we should counter with omega-3s. No, this is all baloney. Counter it with animal fat. And don't even use it. When we prepare food, and if I want to sear stuff, we use either coconut oil, but then everything smells on coconut, so it's occasional to change the flavor. But basically butter. And when you heat butter, butter tends to burn. But if you put a little bit of olive oil in there, it doesn't burn. some melt butter, put splash of coconut oil in there, well, you can do coconut if you want, because for the smell, but olive oil, you can put touch of olive oil in there and it will prevent the burning. You can then heat up butter very high and then use it for searing your meat. Or the best, chicken fat, pork fat, duck fat. Use this to prepare food on. Brings you flavor. It's delicious and it's healthy, because remember, saturated fat does not oxidize with the heat. So this is all the mystery about omega fats. We are being told a lot of nonsense. And again, don't listen to vegans and vegetarians and anyone who is recommending that stuff, even fruitarians, because it simply is not true. Thank you for listening. Till next time. Love you all.